Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and opening up this Friday is a movie that I'm down for. I'm 100% on board with. I'm going to try to go see it as soon as I can. And that, of course, is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's Rampage. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the old Midway game from way back in the day, of course, this is a video game adaptation, and it's not even really being marketed as one. I would go as far as to say that most of the people that are going to go see this movie that are part of The Rock's fan base don't know what this movie is based on. They don't know. And I've seen nothing in terms of trying to put out more information about the game as a way to kind of cross-market with the film. And that's sad to me, because Rampage is a very fun, very enjoyable arcade game. I played it for years, hell, decades even, and it's one that I'm excited to see adapted into a movie. But that being said, I want to take a look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, because it's getting hit pretty hard. So let's take a look to see what we're working with here. So coming over here to Rotten Tomatoes, we can see that the movie's sitting at 54% right now, with an average rating of 5.6 out of 10, and there's a grand total of 39 reviews. Obviously, once the movie opens wide this weekend, we will see a lot more. That user score, or the user review score, will probably be because 94% want to see it. I'm gonna say it's gonna probably end up being fresh in terms of the audience score, but it's getting hammered. It's getting hammered so far. You know, it's definitely come across as rotten. So it says here, just for the plot, for those of you who don't know, primatologist Davis Okoye, a man who keeps people at a distance, shares an unshakable bond with George, the extraordinarily intelligent silverback gorilla who's been in his care since birth. But a rogue genetic experiment gone awry mutates this gentle ape into a raging creature of enormous size. To make matters worse, it's soon discovered that that they are other similarly altered animals. As these newly created alpha predators tear across North America, destroying everything in their path, Okoye teams up with a discredited genetic engineer to secure an antidote, fighting his way through an ever-changing battlefield, not only to halt a global catastrophe, but to save the fearsome creature that he once called his friend. Pretty straightforward, right? The video game has the three animals: George, the gorilla; Lizzie, the reptile; and of course the wolf, whose name escapes me right now, and I don't think they're going to probably even name it in the movie. But you know, they tear their way across the world, destroying city after city after city, and of course you play as the villains in the game, and here you're going to be rooting for The Rock in order to find a way to create the antidote. And we've seen this in the trailer, where at the end of the trailer he gets up and he's like looking at George like, "Are you ready to go fight?" So of course there's going to be a lot of, you know, a big team up there, the Rock and a giant gorilla. I don't know about you, but it just makes me very happy. But let's take a look here at the fresh ratings, because it doesn't have many, but let's see what they say here. So Sandy Schaefer from Screen Rant says, Rampage doesn't blend action, comedy, and heart as well as The Rock's best tentpoles, but there's a good, dunder-headed fun to be had here. Okay, so what we can basically take from that, even though it's 2.5 out of 5, a 50%, and they still gave it a fresh rating, which I find to be interesting, basically, it's a lot of fun, albeit stupid. That makes sense. Nell Minnow from Movie Mom says Johnson is right in his sweet spot here, and so are we, with the popcorn treat to kick off the summer season. It's funny that a movie that opens in mid-April is being considered a kickoff to the summer season. I find that to be kind of funny. But okay, so basically she's saying that The Rock is good in the movie, and that this is a fun summer popcorn film that's coming out before summer. Sarah Stewart from the New York Post here says, it's a big, bloated, and if you give in to the familiar charms of its jacked leading man, not unenjoyable. Okay, so parts of it are stupid, parts of it are fun. In the end, it's kind of a hodgepodge, but more on the side of fun than not. Still gives it a 2.5 out of 4. So clearly over the rating of 50% there. So that would be considered fresh. Ollie Richards from Empire Magazine here says, ridiculous, of course, but not as ridiculous as it might have been. And you can see that actually in the trailer. You can see that they've tried to establish a world within the trailer that, like, you know, he has this primate, and the primate gets this experimental drug or this chemical, turns him into this gigantic monster, but he's still ultimately a gentle giant, just unsure of how things are. Whereas the wolf and the crocodile are, from what I can gather from the previews, are clearly wild creatures. Therefore, that's why George is going to be a little bit more tameable, so to speak, and maybe why they're going to be the hero at the end. So again, it could be way over the top in how they do it. It could be insanely over the top, but ultimately they're going to be working on it from the perspective of, you know, setting it in as realistic a setting as possible, understanding that it's going to be ridiculous, and still finding a nice middle ground, which, to be fair, that's what I want. All right. And finally here, A.A. Dowd from the AV Club says, hard to deny that as a B-movie diversion, Rampage often delivers. And that's good. You can't look at a movie like Rampage and go, you know what, this kind of reminds me of Orson Welles' early work with Citizen Kane. You're not going to think that at all. This is the kind of movie you would have seen in the 1990s. I kind of liken it to Geostorm, right? Geostorm came out last fall. It just failed across the board. I finally sat down and watched it, and it's essentially a 1990s just summer blockbuster destruction film. Interestingly enough, written by the guy who wrote Independence Day. And so essentially that's what it is. Like, there are movies that are made now that feel like they would have been, you know, top hits in the summer 20 years ago. But we're still getting them, and that's okay, provided they know what they are and they're not trying too hard. I'm entirely on board with that. Now let's take a look here at the Rotten score. Now it says here that Courtney Howard from Sassy Mama in LA. What's up with these mommy blogs? She says she didn't like it, but she says here, though it shows the occasional blip of rollicking good camp and goofy charm, it primarily takes itself far too seriously for its own good, which is a juxtaposition to what the other review that was saying that it is taking itself a bit more seriously than it maybe needs to, but that actually works in its benefit. So you can see how this movie is attempting to walk the fine line between camp, obviously, you know, giant like 60-foot gorillas and wolves and lizards taking on Chicago and tearing that to shreds, and then trying to like be, as you know, a serious movie, right? A serious action adventure film. Daniel Solzman from Solzy at the Movies here says, Rampage is such a formulaic film that there's no real stakes at play. Every movie is formulaic when you break it down. It really is. And a lot of that has to do with Blake Snyder, Save the Cat. We can go through that entire debacle at another date, but most movies are formulaic, and that's because the audience likes formula. I'm not even making that up. Audiences will bitch about formula, producers will bitch about formula, but they keep hiring screenwriters that pull out that Save the Cat beat sheet and they write their script point for point for point. And I say this as a person who has, in fact, written screenplays using that format, because that is what I was told to do. That's what a lot of screenwriters are told to do. And that's just kind of where we are. Now, Kristen Page Kirby of the Washington Post, a top critic here, says, at times Rampage almost hides its problems. It's just funny enough, just exciting enough, just visually impressive enough. What it never is, though, is anything more than just enough, with a 1.4 out of 5. But here's the thing, though. Isn't being just enough okay? I mean, if you're going into a movie like Rampage, you kind of want it to just be enough. Like, you want to go in hoping that it's just enough, because then if anything else excites you about the movie, then it goes above and beyond that just enough barrier you set, that threshold you set, and you might find yourself enjoying it a lot more. At least that's my particular take on it. But just being just enough is fine. Not everything has to be a Citizen Kane. Not everything has to be a Black Panther. Stuff can kind of be in the center of it all. Provided you have fun and you have entertainment, then that just enough actually finds itself in a better sitting overall. You got Jason Garessio here from Business Insider saying, Rampage is a CGI wonder with little plot, a whole lot of awful cliches, and bad dialogue. Again, sir, what more could you be expecting from it? I mean, really, looking at something like what Rampage is, you know it's going to have bad dialogue. You know it's going to be full of cliches. It's a tentpole movie for The Rock, right? It's not even, I wouldn't even call it a tentpole movie, you know, because where would you take it? Now, granted, there have been an insane amount of Rampage games made over the years, but Midway, the company that published it, is no more. They did Rampage World Tour. That could be a sequel. Oh, we're going to tear up Paris, tear up Tokyo. It kind of run its course. This is a one and done movie. It's not meant to spawn a franchise. That being said, if they found a way to do it, I would actually kind of be on board here. Now, Dominic Susan Mayer from Consequence of Sound here says, Rampage makes vigorous use of all Johnson's attributes, being that it's somehow one of the most ridiculous films in which he starred to date. Really, is it worse than Baywatch? Because Baywatch was like, the trailer was funny, the movie wasn't. And that played a lot of his attributes as well. Here it's putting him in a setting where he's going to be doing action comedy. But what you have to understand is his connection with the director, Brad Peyton, who did San Andreas a couple years ago, and that's actually getting a sequel because that did pretty well financially. This is their second time working together, or no, their third time. He also did Journey to the Center of the Earth 2, which was enough for them to find out they have a good relationship together. They bounce off each other pretty well. And he's actually working on Journey 3, although no word if Rock's going to be involved in that one. So what you have to kind of look at here, at least this is the way I take it, is that Brad Peyton is able to very much work within the attributes for The Rock and what The Rock can do. And as a result of that, they found success. And I'm hoping they find more success when it comes to this particular film. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see it. So here's the thing. The positive reviews gave me a solid understanding of what to expect. The rotten reviews are basically just kind of like nitpicking. And of course, as I like to do here on RT Recap, is just surface level stuff here, taking it from the perspective of a person who might be coming at this, not knowing much about the film, looking at those blurbs and then analyzing them. And I feel like I feel more excited for this movie now after reading those than I did before. And I've been kind of looking forward to this movie now for over a year. So I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on this one. Be sure to let me know in the comments. Do you feel that Rampage is going to do well? Do you think that these scores reflect how the movie is going to be overall? Are you going to see it? Are you not going to see it? Wait for DVD, go see it first day. These are things I want to know. Let me know in the comments. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This has been 3 Buck Theater. If you haven't already, thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, and check back often for more content from me. And hell, if you want to see more content from me, you can do so right now.